my dear children, Namaste and welcome to yet another session of our brand new terminology series. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on this super duper amazing platform, which is Vedantu 9th and 10th English. All right, guys, so what exactly is terminology series? For those of you who've missed our last few sessions on various chapters, in which we discussed a lot of different things in the series, let me just give you a quick idea. As the name indicates, terminology series is one in which we will discuss the most important terms coming in each chapter. So for CBSE 9, CBSE 10 and for ICSE 10 biology, we are going to be doing this. All right, guys. So basically we thought about this because many of you have this phobia, sort of fear for biology just because it's rich in so many terms. But not to worry at all. For every chapter, we'll be doing one session with the major terms. All right. So no worries at all. Everything right here with us. Forget about all your anxiety for the next few minutes and stay with me entirely. All right, children. But we cannot move on without a positive quote, right? So this is it. No message that I want to give you, but always have it in mind that a positive mind, positive vibes would mean that we are leading a positive life. And that's super duper important because having a combination of all these three is what helps us do our best in anything that we do, in the kind of person that we are as well. Right, guys? So give it a thought and let me know what you think of this. Okay? Right. Now, something very special I need to tell you. This is something that's going to be happening on our main channel, not on the English channel. So, Harsh sir and Amrit sir are going to be doing a JEE versus NEET session. Okay, so this is going to be a live session happening on the 12th of March 2021, which is very, very close. So don't miss it at 5:30 p.m. Okay, so note the date and time and do not miss this. Okay, your favorite Harsh sir and Amrit sir are going to be talking to you about JEE and NEET. And well, I don't want to tell you anything further. They will be throwing light on whatever else you need to know. All right, guys. So don't forget 12th March, 5:30 p.m. Okay, now getting started. Reproduction. What does this mean? Of course, reproduction. In the chapter How Do Organisms Reproduce, we discuss reproduction as a definition first. It is basically, or simply put, the process of producing offsprings which are biologically or genetically similar to the parent organism. Look at that cute family picture of a lion, right? Look at that cute little cub that's walking beside them. Right, guys? So whatever animal we may be talking about, whatever organism we may be talking about, reproduction is absolutely essential for continuity of species. So children, do remember, I won't be telling you more about these terms, or rather more about these concepts, because majorly this is going to be only for the terms. Okay, it's not a one-shot series. So do remember that. Okay. Next one, asexual reproduction. There are two major kinds of reproduction, which are asexual, wherein just one single parent is involved. Okay, so one parent is involved. One parent. It's a type of reproduction in which no gametic fusion occurs. The parent cell basically just splits up into daughter cells, most commonly seen as a mode of reproduction in unicellular organisms. Right? Okay. Now, sexual reproduction. As we know, two parents are typically involved in sexual reproduction. So fusion of gametes is going to be one major feature out here. The male gametes and the female gametes, as you can see here, the egg and the sperm fuse with each other to form what we call the zygote, and the zygote develops into the embryo. Now over here what you see is in the case of human beings, but of course it's not just in human beings. Sexual reproduction does occur in angiosperms, which are flowering plants. It does occur in various other animals as well. Okay, right. Now what is fission? It's a type of asexual reproduction. Now as the name indicates, fission includes some sort of a splitting, right? So Binary fission as a mode of reproduction would be one in which the parent cell, the parent organism, splits up into two daughter organisms or two daughter cells. The best examples as a mode of reproduction for fission would be amoeba. Multiple fission is also an example, also a type of fission wherein from one parent cell, many daughter cells would be formed. So bacteria, amoeba, plasmodium, and all of these are examples of fission. Remember, literally the word fission would just mean the act of dividing or splitting something into two or more parts. Under the chapter, How Do Organisms Reproduce? Keep in mind that this refers to the process by which the parent cell splits up into daughter cells, or rather the parent organism, like amoeba, splits up into daughter organisms. Is that clear? Yes. Now, if you just remember the literal meaning of the word fission, which is splitting of something into two or more parts, you will not get confused between this term and budding. Budding is totally different, but fission and budding are quite often confused with each other. All right, children? Okay. Now, binary fission, I've told you this already, wherein from one parent cell, two daughter cells are formed. Right? So this is binary fission because bi would mean two. Genetic material, which is in the form of DNA, gets duplicated first, and then when the parent cell undergoes division, the two copies of genetic material are given, distributed and given to the daughter cells or the daughter organisms. Okay, multiple fission, as in the case of plasmodium, multi would mean many. All right, yes. So nucleus of the parent cell divides several times by amitosis, producing several nuclei. As you see here, nuclear division is what occurs first, and ultimately cytoplasm separates, creating multiple daughter cells from one single parent cell. Even in the case of amoeba, under unfavorable conditions, multiple fission can be observed. All right, so binary fission, multiple fission are all that we have seen. Now, budding. Budding is an example of a type of asexual reproduction wherein an outgrowth, which we call a bud, forms from certain constantly dividing cells of an organism, and that particular structure, which we call the bud, grows and develops while it's still attached to the parent organism. Ultimately, when it's completely developed, it detaches, grows into a new independent organism. So Hydra is a very good example for budding. Hydra. Yeast is also a good example, which is a fungus, right? Hydra is an animal, yeast is a fungus. Okay, so binary fission, multiple fission, and budding. Now look at this. Vegetative propagation. If you just remember the meaning of the word vegetative, you will not go wrong with this, children. So vegetative, a vegetative part of a plant would be the usually non-reproductive part of a plant body, which would be the stem, the leaves, the roots, and all of those. Those are usually non-reproductive, right? Normally, when we talk about plant reproduction, we talk about flowers, we talk about pollen, we talk about the carpels, we talk about seeds. But when it comes to asexual reproduction in plants, something called vegetative propagation can also happen, either naturally or artificially. So this is basically the mode in which the usually non-reproductive parts, which we call vegetative parts, stem, roots, and leaves, and so on, are capable of giving rise to new generation plants. All right, so this is what it is. And there are various types of vegetative propagation, if you remember, cutting, layering, grafting, and all of those, right? Okay, now, regeneration. Regeneration is the, literally, if you think about, re is again, right? That the prefix re would literally mean again. Generate, the formation of something, the birth of something. So regenerate is the rebirth of something or reformation of something, or we can say restoration of something, right? So what exactly is this? This is the process by which lost cells, tissues, organs, or sometimes even the entire body of an organism is restored because of some kind of accidental process that occurs. It's quite possible that certain organisms may lose some body part. Some organisms like planaria, like in the case of hydra, starfish, all of them have the ability to grow into independent, complete organisms, even if a body part has been lost, right? So regeneration, children, quite often regeneration is confused with fragmentation. So fragmentation, there is a very thin line of difference, but the thing is, the major thing you need to know here is fragmentation is happening with the intention of reproduction. In order to reproduce, for example, planaria might sometimes, once it's completely mature, it may split up into 3 different parts, and each part would grow into one fully developed planaria. But that is fragmentation, wherein with the intention of reproduction, it's splitting up and each fragment is growing into a full organism. But regeneration is the type in which the ultimate intention need not be reproduction. It's majorly to restore a lost body part. Okay, right. So it need not always be the full organism. It can also be something as simple as the regrowth of the tail in the case of lizard, right? So this is regeneration. Are we clear? Yes. Now, spores. What are spores? Spore formation is also a type of asexual reproduction, right? So a spore can be defined as a reproductive cell which is capable of developing into a new individual without fusion with another reproductive cell. So basically it's different from gametes. The most common examples would be the fungi, right? Bread mold and all of those different fungi that you can think about, and even some plants, right? Certain groups of plants also reproduce by spore formation. Okay, right. Now stamen. Children, look at the diagram very carefully. This is what we call the stamen. So stamen is basically, simply put, we can say it's the male reproductive part of a flower. Okay. Now what is it comprised of? Stamen is typically comprised of 2 parts, the anther, which is this, and the filament. I know where the confusion is normally. Anther and stamen are quite often confused with each other. This long structure is probably not a confusion. It is a filamentous structure. So filament, no big deal. You can remember that. But anther and stamen. Remember, children, A, F come together and they form the stamen. Right? AF, anther, filament, together form the stamen. Stamen is the bigger one, the complete structure comprised of the anther and the filament. All right. So what is this? What are these pollen sacs that you see here? Well, I will tell you while talking about the anther, because the anther is the part, this upper portion of the stamen where pollen is produced. So these are the pollen sacs in which pollen grains are produced. So that's the anther. Remember, once again, anther and filament together form the stamen. Okay, right. Next one. Filament is the supportive structure, the part which supports the anther, because the anther is where the pollen develops. And together they form the stamen. Right, children? Okay. So AF together forming S. Okay. Now, the next term is stigma. What is stigma? Stigma is basically this part. Okay. So the pistil or the carpel, we also call this the carpel. Okay, the female, this entire yellow structure you see here in a flower, the female reproductive part of a flower is what we call pistil or carpel. Stamen for the male part, pistil for the female part. Okay, now in the pistil there are 3 major sub parts. They are stigma, style, and the ovary. Okay, so the stigma is basically the upper part that you can see here where pollen grains get deposited and they can germinate and develop. So stigma is this upper portion, this part, right? That's where pollen grains during pollination come and get deposited. Okay, right. Now, style is this elongated part, this flower vase like portion, right? The style, which is if you had to define it or describe it, you can say it's an elongated part of a carpel between the ovary and the stigma, because ovary is the bottom swollen portion, stigma is this upper part. So style is basically this neck-like part. Okay, so stigma, style, and then the ovary, I've told you, the bottom part inside which there is the ovule. Now coming to gametes, what exactly are gametes? Children, in a chapter like how do organisms reproduce, we have to understand what these are. Simply put, they are called sex cells or reproductive cells. Female gametes are generally called egg cells or ova. Male gametes are called sperm. Okay, so ova is plural, ovum is singular, right? So they fuse together to form the zygote. Now, what exactly would the pollen grain, would the pollen be? Pollen or the pollen grain, is it synonymous to the male gamete? No. Even in a flowering plant, sperm would be the term that we use for the male gamete. So what exactly is the pollen? Pollen is the powdery product which is synthesized by the anther, and it is the pollen which contains the male gametes. The pollen contains the male gametes, right? So pollen would contain sperm. All right, so that's it. It's the pollen grains which get deposited on the stigma. Okay, guys. So what exactly would pollination be? Yet another term. It brings us to pollination. Transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma. That's it. If the anther and stigma are of the same flower, we call it self-pollination. If two different flowers are involved, that too of two different plants, we call this process cross-pollination. So self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination where one single plant is involved. Cross-pollination where two different plants are involved. As you see in this case, from the anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower of a different plant, right? Okay. So what is fertilization? As far as a plant is concerned, would pollination be the same as fertilization? No, not really. Not at all, in fact. Pollination is the beginning step. And it is after pollination occurs that the, if you remember, this is the stigma, the style, and the ovary. So once the pollen grain germinates, it forms the pollen tube and ultimately comes to fuse with the ovum which is inside the ovule, or rather the pollen tube acts as a passage through which pollen grains containing sperms can come down to meet the ovum and fertilize it. So what is fertilization? The fusion of male and female gametes, sperm and ovum together. The image that you see here is not that of a flower, it's that of human beings or sexually reproducing animals in general, wherein there is one ovum, and to fertilize it, many different millions of sperms compete with each other. And ultimately, it's only one of those sperms which would win the race and fertilize it. Fertilize is fusion. The active fusion of the male and female gametes is what we call fertilization. And the end product of fertilization would be, yes, think about it. I'll come back to that. Anyway, let's take a very quick break. In the meantime, I still have a lot more terms to tell you, children. So stay with me on that. So before that, you now have the opportunity, children, to boost your self-confidence, not just through the YouTube sessions that we do, because it's not always that we get to do live sessions here, right? And it's not beyond a certain extent that we can give you personalized attention on this platform, right? That's exactly why I want to tell you about Vedantu's amazing classes. So you can be part of unlimited live classes with fun and high-level quizzes. So children, one interesting thing that we all always discuss about is that online classes, come what may, last year has entirely been based on online education. There are merits, there are demerits, a lot of it. But a platform like Vedantu, where it's a complete interaction that happens in a class, in an online class. It's not going to be like another one-sided lecture like many other online classes are. It's going to be completely interactive, right, children? So this is a place where a lot of advantages are there in terms of your safety. You are studying, learning from your home, and you register at your convenience, and you pick the classes which suit your time, suit your schedule, and all of those, all at an affordable price, saving money on travel, saving fuel because you don't have to travel. All of these are advantages of an online classroom. That too, it's all worth it because of all the personalized attention that you will be getting, right, children? So you can compete with students across different parts of the world, and that will make you much better confident because you identify your strengths and weaknesses. For example, you might attend a particular quiz in my, say, for instance, life processes session, thinking that you are really good in that. You think you have this feeling that nobody can beat you in the chapter life processes. You come attend a session and you happen to answer questions on the quiz, but you happen to see that there are many other children who are probably above you, on top of you, who are performing better than you. And you get to know where you stand. You get a very good idea. That means it's putting a check on overconfidence. That's one advantage. The opposite can also work out, children. There are many cases wherein children think, oh my goodness, I don't know anything about this particular chapter. What do I do? But once they come to the online platform, they take part in a quiz, they see their positions on the leaderboard, they are like, wow, I'm not that bad after all. There are so many children in the class, maybe a class of 30, 40, 50, 60, sometimes even 100, 150. Whatever the number may be, it doesn't matter. But when you are learning in a group, especially, you get your own self confidence increased as well, if at all you were underestimating yourself. This is why this platform can work wonders. And also, children, we completely understand that you guys might or might not be able to attend every session while it's happening live, right? This is why the interactive replay feature is here with live quizzes and leaderboards, so that even if you happen to miss one of the sessions while it was happening live, it's all right. You can always come back, click on the replay, and have a look at it. It's not just about watching it like a video, but the good thing is that quizzes and leaderboards can still have your name because it's going to be interactive. You can participate just like in a live session. Okay, right. So apart from all this, there are a lot of other amazing features, and one of them is getting to download handwritten notes of your master teachers, and that really feels special, right? And in-class doubt solving, quality tests, assignments, so many things which will be part of this, children. And also 5,000 plus micro courses and crash courses for competitive exams gonna be available to you for free without any extra cost, right? So how does it work? Less is always more. Vedantu has always believed in this, but how exactly? I'll tell you about it, but remember, children, to visit the link in the description box below and in the pinned comment. The coupon code you need to keep in mind is AMBPRO. All right, AMBPRO. I'll show you where exactly you can click and all of that, but here are the details of the pricing, children, because we want to keep everything transparent for you. The 1 month pricing is also given. Till June 2021 pricing is also given. That's completely up to you. Totally your choice, or yours and your parents' combined choice, whatever works for you. I would suggest, in case you're not sure about anything, go buy the 1 month subscription. Go buy the 1 month plan, because it's very, very reasonably priced as well. It's coming down to just ₹6 per session. Imagine. So you get a very good idea once you experience it yourself. Whatever I may tell you about these, whatever somebody else may tell you about these, you are not really going to get the complete picture unless you experience it yourself, right? So right now, applying the coupon code AMBPRO reduces the amount 1,500 to 1,200 totally for 1 month. And this would include English, social studies, science, and maths completely. 4 core subjects, imagine, for just 1,200. Isn't that amazing? Yes. So of course, as you are aware, it's even lesser priced than your favorite pack of lace. So what more do you have to know about this? I'll tell you, just in case you have any sort of confusion, children. Let me make it very clear right away. Yes, here it is. What do you do? Yes, children, can you see this? Go to one of the videos probably, and maybe, yeah. Yep, can you see this? One of these videos, and you go down to the description box below and you see the subscribe to Vedantu Pro now, right? Do you see this? Yes. So click on that link and it will take you through a set of steps. So let's find the best pro plan. Of course, right now I'll pick grade 10. Select the target. I will pick CBSE 2021. Children, note that you do have other choices as well, different grades and ICSE and Maharashtra board as well that you can choose from. That too this year and the next academic year as well. Right now I'll choose this so that it will be more relevant to you, right? Okay, so everything that you need to know, A to Z of the pro subscription courses, everything is mentioned here. Who are your teachers going to be, all about its features, frequently asked questions, all answered, everything mentioned here, right? So this is what I was telling you about. The 1 month subscription price is also given to you here, 1500 per month, and till June 21 it's going to be 5000 for the entire course. Okay, right now let's focus on the 1 month subscription. Proceed to pay. Okay, because it's not applied the coupon code yet. Now, where do you apply the coupon code? Yes, Vedantu CBSE 10 Pro Lite 1 month. This is the course. Apply the coupon code AMBPRO right here. Okay, so I'll do it once again. Here, enter the coupon code AMBPRO. Apply it and it reduces to 1200. Right, children? So this is how it works. Now, once you register, after this is done, choose your preferred payment method, and then that's it. You will be done. Now, once you register, your dashboard, your student's dashboard will have the list of all the past and upcoming sessions. Okay, whatever is relevant to you according to the course that you are enrolled in, the past sessions, if at all they are relevant to your course, will be mentioned to you, will be given here to you. As you can see, this is the replay button that you can click on. This is the get notes button that you could click on, right, guys? So once you click on the replay button, you get to have a look at the session that you had missed. And when you click on the get notes button, you get to download it in the PDF form. All right, the handwritten notes that your teachers used in the class. All right. So this is how it works, children. Make sure you pick the right decision, pick the right choice, whatever it may be. Try it out sometime, as I always tell you, and then decide for yourself. We can only give you information, but experiencing it is going to be a totally different experience, right? Yes, that's the only way you can decide the best. All right. So children, let us now continue and get back into our terminology series. What is zygote? Remember, I asked you, what is the end product of fertilization? It is the zygote. It's a diploid cell resulting from the fusion of a female gamete and a male gamete. Now, zygote, after several rounds of division, becomes what we call the embryo, right? The embryo. So as you can see, this is fertilization, and as you can see, the zygote is what is the end product of fertilization, and that keeps dividing to form the embryo. And from the embryo, roughly to about the 8th week, we call it the embryo, 8th week of pregnancy. And beyond that, we call it the fetus. So zygote, embryo, fetus. All right. Yes. Now, what are genes? We will be learning this in the chapter heredity as well. So no worries, but for you to get an idea about, it is a segment of DNA. Now, imagine this is the cell. Of course, it's double membraned, but inside the nucleus, we have a lot of thread-like structures, which is nothing but our genetic material. Now, if you zoomed into those thread-like structures, you would see them in this form. What are they? It's just DNA, not just DNA. It's the biomolecule which contains loads of information making you who you are. Each segment of DNA is what we call a gene. Probably this is gene 1 for your hair color. This is perhaps gene 2 for your hair texture. This is perhaps gene 3 for your eye color, and so on. Just an example, but genes are segments of DNA, and at the time of cell division, you can find them on chromosomes, right? Yes, because chromatin, this thread-like structure, condenses to structures called chromosomes. Children, no worries in case the terms chromosomes, chromatin, all of that seems too complex for you. Just forget it. No compulsion at all. In case you want to know more about it, please have a look at my ICSE sessions videos. Okay, right. Now, what are offspring? Offspring is the children, or rather the product of reproduction, wherein a new organism is produced by one or more parents. So, be it sexual or asexual reproduction for the next generation or the newly formed organism, we call it offspring, right? Okay. So, yes, that brings us to the end of this chapter, children. There are also other terms that you might have a confusion with. So, in case you want anything added to this, please feel free to put it in the comment section below. All right, so that everything is at one place. No other intention. I won't be picking it up and explaining it in my next session or anything like that. But if there's anything you feel can be part of this terminology set, please do add it here. We've discussed a lot today, like reproduction, asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction, and the different types, right? Binary fission, budding, multiple fission, spore, fragmentation, regeneration, vegetative propagation, and whatnot. So many terms we've discussed. Vasectomy, tubectomy, if at all you want to add to this list, please make a note of them as well. Right, children? And remember, the coupon code is AMBPRO. Do not forget to check out Vedantu's Pro subscription courses. Right, children? If you have enjoyed this, please click on the like button right now. And I would request you all to kindly share the link of this session with all your friends, especially CBSE Class 10, because everyone is going to benefit from this. Biology, although it's full of terms, needn't be a nightmare after all. They are just terms. All you need to know is split them, understand the literal meaning of them, and that's it. It's going to be as simple as anything. Right? And stay subscribed, children. In case you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, click on the subscribe button right now. Vedantu 9th and 10th English has been and will be continuing to work hard for you even in the days to come. Right, children? That's about it from my side. And until we meet again, stay happy and stay safe, because that's all that matters. This is Ambika signing off. Bye-bye.